this is Trinisha Cottrell, and today I wanted to talk about easy. So, what made me think about easy is I've been reflecting a lot on who I am and who God's creating me to be and who I like to present myself as, or who I want people to see me as and who I want to see myself as. And I really have been thinking about how I want to be the best version of myself. And when it comes to meeting new people, I want them to see me the way that I see myself, the way that God sees me. And I know no one's ever going to see me in God's light, but I want to be the best version of myself. I want to be the best version of me that I could possibly be, so that when people see me, they can see what I want to show the world. I want the world to see me as. And I hope that when people meet me, when people are around me, they see love and kindness. They see someone who is kind and considerate and who really truly does care about other people, who has a good heart, who is understanding, who's patient, who when you look at me, you could tell that I'm God's child. That's what I want people to see when they look at me. When my child looks at me, I want her to see me as her mom, who is caring and compassionate, and not someone who's easily angered or someone who just doesn't have the time or whatever else. I want to make sure that I'm intentional in every area of my life. And I think that sometimes we think that life should be easy, or that I'm going to use this and I'm going to be transparent in this moment because I feel like it will help other people. But I thought that, me being the best version of myself would in turn bring the best people to me, like for relationships or whatever else. And when it comes to friendships, for the most part, every person that I've encountered that God has allowed in my life has been like me. And or they've been like some sort of encouragement, or they've been the person that keeps it real from a loving place. They've really been everything that God intended them to be in my life. And I hope that I'm being everything that God intended me to be in their life as well. And when I think of people who are like potential people that I would be interested in or something like that, the people that I've met have been nice. They've all been nice. And there was a time where I just felt like, okay, I'm not ready, so that's fine that I wasn't ready at that time. And I know you saw me in a video and I said that I was ready, and I'm ready whenever God's ready for me. I don't feel like this is a process that needs to be rushed. I don't feel like there has to be a timeline set on my life because of my age or whatever else. I just feel like it's all in God's timing. And I don't think that me rushing to do something is going to help my life at all. I feel like everything's going to happen at the appointed time that God intended it to happen. And so when I meet the person, if I have more kids, whatever else, if I have another child or more kids, I guess I should say that, then no matter what age I am, it's going to happen if that's what God intended to happen in my life. So it's not that there's a rush because of my age or anything like that. I just feel like I really didn't expect any of the things when it came to being out in the world, when it came to like meeting other people, when it came to creating new relationships or whatever else. I really felt like it was going to be, I don't know. I don't know what I expected. I just expected me to be different. I expected me to be stronger and braver and being able to have standards and stick to them and just not really, I didn't think that I would care about other people's feelings when I knew that something wasn't right or, whatever else. I really felt like I was at a point in my life where I knew what I wanted, and no matter what someone else wanted, they either had it or they didn't. And I don't mean it in like a mean way, like I'm trying to like like put someone down or make them feel a certain type of way or anything like that. This is just from my point of view, how I feel like I handled the situation, and I just feel like I should have waited at the beginning because I totally wasn't ready. And my my attitude was good. I was a nice, kind-hearted person, and I didn't just prejudge anybody or anything like that. So I did good there. But when it came to setting standards, I really felt like this is gonna sound crazy, especially since I just like came into the single pool of where I was like, I actually feel like I might want to date or something like that. So it's weird that I would even think this, but in my head, and most women probably think this, or men, I don't know if I'm the only person, but maybe it'll help someone so that when you get to a position where you're healing in the healing process and you're getting ready to date or something, then you will think of, oh, okay, it's not going to be like this. Okay, fine. So, mm, I want to be real, but I really don't want to hurt anybody, and I don't want it to come off like I'm trying to put down a whole team of people, or not that there's a whole team of people or anything like that, like friends and potential people or colleagues or something like that, like they're in a team together. Like, no, I'm not saying anything like that, but I just don't want it to come off as if someone isn't good enough when I feel like every person is good enough. I feel like every person that is trying to do better is exactly the way that God intended them to be. And I don't feel like my opinion is going to be uh determined of it's going to determine who someone else is. Like because I can't be the person who creates another person. And I know I'm just rambling on, but I just want to explain myself because I don't want to ever make it seem like I'm trying to put someone down when everybody is the best version of themselves at that moment. And then you decide to do better or you give up. But hopefully you decide to do better because you doing better is you doing everything that you can, no matter what the outcome is. You can't control the outcome, but you can control what you do and how you think about the situation and your actions. And so I really felt like when I got ready, I was gonna go on some horrible dates with people who wouldn't be considerate at all, that would be rude and nasty and just like try to use me. I really felt like I was gonna meet a lot of bad people. I don't know why I thought this, but I thought that it was gonna be like a string of horrible guys that just were so disrespectful and rude and just treated me so horribly and like put no thought into the date or whatever else. And I don't mean like it has to be some kind of extravagant thing. I mean like we could go on a walk by the beach or something. I don't know. But with a group of people because I don't know you like that. But or like, dinner or something like that. With dinner is like the normal thing that everybody does or go to like a museum or something. I don't know. But I mean, and I say a museum because most times those are free or they're like cheaper or something like that, but it still gives you a chance to see that person in a different environment, like how they dress, how they take care of themselves, how they're speaking, if they're paying attention to certain things, stuff like that. Or like if you're walking, if they are someone who doesn't like to walk or who doesn't like physical activity at all, and you're someone like me who likes exercise, walking might be something that you just do for fun to de-stress or like to release endorphins because exercising releases endorphins and allows you to be more joyful. So things like that matter to me. And so and I'm not saying these are things that I want to do on a date or something like that. And I also am not saying that those are things that I wouldn't want to do. I'm just throwing out things that are other women would appreciate. And so, so when you're doing things like that, it allows you to get to know the person because you're actually having a conversation, and most of the conversation things will tell you the information that you need to know about someone. And I didn't expect to meet any person who would have a good head on their shoulders and be an actual decent human being. I really felt like I was going to meet people who were I don't know, like just not good people. I don't know why. And I'm a good person, so it makes no sense why I would attract people who were just not good people at all. But but it could happen. But it kind of really threw me for a loop because I would hear so many people say things like, oh, I've been single for 15 years, I've been single for 20 years, or it's been 5 years and I still can't meet any decent guy, or whatever else. Like, I would hear a bunch of like single women say things like this. And so it kind of made me feel like I don't really have to. This is going to sound ridiculous. And please don't do this. Please learn from my mistake. Seriously. But I kind of felt like the first 3 months of dating, or the first guy, first couple guys, or whatever else that I date, are not going to be any good anyway. So I don't have to do any prep work. I don't have to really worry about anything. The only thing I have to do is just, go and be a nice, kind person. I mean, I would go and be a nice, kind person anyways, but it, I was just thinking, okay, well, this is like, you know, just like the first date that I'm going on, or the second date, or whatever else. So it's fine, because this is not going to be someone who I would even consider being with, maybe because I don't know them like that. And this is before I met the person who I may have went out on a date with, or whatever else. So this is not anything to do with that person, or like a dig at that person or anything. But before I even met someone to go on a date with, I really, in my head, was thinking every person that I meet is not going to be a nice person, regardless. So in the beginning, for the next 3 to 5 to 20 years, I'm not going to meet anybody who's a decent human being, anyways. So I could just, even if I feel like I'm healed, but at that moment I was like, I'm healed, and I felt good about like just possibly dating and things like that. And I was just like, I feel like I'm at a point in my life where I would be okay with dating someone. And it's weird that I even felt like that at that moment, because I don't know. For me, at that moment, before I met the other person, before I met this person and everything else, I really felt like I had plenty of time and it doesn't matter. And and this person's gonna hate me. They're not gonna like me, when I do meet someone. And, they're just going to play a bunch of games and just think it's like some sort of challenge. And I mean, I don't know what I really expected. I just expected to meet not nice people who would either be good or bad. I didn't expect to meet good people with a little bad in them, or bad people with a little good in them. I really expected somebody to be all good or all bad. But life is shades of gray. So you can't just prejudge someone like that and just expect them to not be a good person, or to be a good person to do everything right, because not everyone does everything right. People make mistakes because they're humans. And so my whole thought process was so wrong. It was ridiculous. I don't know what was happening. I really didn't know what to expect, but the way that my perception of everything was crazy. And so when when I met an actual decent human being, and I just felt like a couple of days before, I really felt like I was really upset the few days before, when I exchanged the last few things of the stuff between me and the other person who had been together for like 15 years. And so I really was just like, I didn't care about that person. I mean, of course, I care about that person's well being, but I really felt like I was saying goodbye to the person that I was then. Like I thought I had healed, because I was healing those areas of my life that I knew I needed to grow in. I knew I needed to become a better person. I knew I wanted to be better. I knew I wanted to be closer to God. And I felt like I healed through all of those things. But when I gave up the last few things, I felt like I had to say goodbye to the person that I used to be, once and for all. Like, that was it. That was it. I could no longer be that person anymore. And before that moment, I felt super strong. I felt like, even if I go on a date, even if I meet someone, I could stick to my standards, because I don't feel like there's any weakness in me. I feel confident. I feel like I'm everything that I want to be. And and right before, like, going on a date or whatever else, if I went on a date, I just felt anxious, and I felt like I was mad at myself, and I felt disappointed in myself, like I had all of that time ago, like at the beginning of my healing process. And like some of those old like emotions that I felt towards myself, like that insecurity and that, I don't know, just that all of that anxiety that I used to feel all the time just came back to me, and it started making me feel horrible. Like, and I kind of was thinking back and forth, like, should I just not go? Because I didn't expect myself to feel like this, and I want to be completely 100% before I even go on a date, before I even do anything, because I don't want that person to be in the middle of me healing. I want to be completely healed when I even go on a date. And I know like a lot of people, and I know they mean well, but they'll say things like, oh, it's just a date. But it wasn't just a date for me. It was, I've never dated anybody else in 15 years, and now I'm going to date someone that I barely know, and I feel insecure or I feel anxious in this moment because all of the things that I have been building up until that point, like I had already closed the door on the old me. I had already said goodbye, good riddance. I don't ever want to see your face again. You horrible person. No, I wasn't a horrible person, but you unhealed person. I really felt like I was like, okay, I can be content. I can be compassionate. I can be caring. I can be patient. I can be understanding. I could set standards and stick to them because I know exactly what it is that I want. I have went through this whole process because it's for a reason. It's not because I want to go back into another situation and and feel like I went through all that for nothing. And so I put so much pressure on myself. So I probably should have just waited. But I just felt like it had been so long that I I would be okay. And so I'm sharing this, and I know some people are going to judge me, and it's fine, but if it helps one person, I feel like it's worth it. And so I just felt like I completely started judging myself. And I like when I went to the date, when I got there, I felt fine. I felt like, okay, I really think this person is a great person who is so kind and everything else. And I really didn't expect to meet anybody that was a kind or a nice person or that would want to be kind or nice to me because it sounds so crazy. And I know I sound ridiculous when I say that out loud. Even if as I say it out loud, I start to laugh because it sounds crazy. Like, of course, there's going to be nice people and there's going to be mean people in the world. So why was I expecting this person to just be so not nice to me? Like, I really, I don't know. And so I just started feeling like I felt good, in that moment. And I don't want to like get into too many details about everything, but I didn't I didn't like wait long enough before I went on a date. I totally didn't, and I probably should have because I think if I would have been talking to that person a little longer, it would have made me feel less like pressured. And not that that person made me feel pressured at all because they were complete gentlemen. It was just me like making myself feel pressured because after I returned all the stuff, I just felt like a failure. And yeah, I'm not ashamed to say that because that's real life. That's how people feel sometimes when relationships end. It just is. And I know I went through it, and the healing and everything is things that help me with my business and help me inspire other people. And I also understand that I learned a lesson from it. I also understand that I'm not that person anymore. Like pieces of that person are still within me. Like I'm still a person who wants to help people. I'm still the type of person who likes to see good in other people. I'm still the type of person who wants people to succeed. I just do. And I'm not worried about it being a competition because what's for me is for me, what's for you is for you. And I just, because I wasn't expecting to meet a nice person, I really felt like, oh my gosh, if I fail again, this is going to be all my fault. Because before I could blame it on the toxic person. I know people probably felt me there because for some reason I felt that in my soul when I said it. But when you're with a toxic person, you can just kind of blame it all on them. Not that I blamed it all on him because I did take responsibility for my actions and I have been working on bettering myself. But it felt like, okay, this person's, I don't want to say not a nice person. That person was a decent person. I just allowed them to get away with too much stuff and stayed in a relationship that I shouldn't have stayed in and blah, blah, blah. You know the story. And so, but being on a date with someone or getting to know someone who is an actual good person made me kind of feel like I put a lot of pressure on myself because it was like, if I fail now, this is all my fault. Like, I can't say the other person did this or that, or it's their fault that this happened. Now it's all my fault. Like, if I mess up, I, and this is crazy that I even felt like this because the person made me feel so comfortable and was so nice and such a gentleman. And I mean, in everything that I could have wanted in someone, like, which made me even more scared because I was like, it's supposed to be 3 to 5 to 20 years before I even meet a decent human being. So why is this happening? Like the very first person that I meet is this amazing person. Like it just doesn't seem fair. It seems like obviously this I don't deserve this. Why is this happening to me? God. It really was crazy that I even thought like that, but that's how I was feeling in my mind. And this is how I was like totally freaking out because I was just, and sorry to talk like that, but I talk like that sometimes. And I just felt like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy that I feel like this right now. And I just felt like, oh my gosh, okay, this person can't actually like me and be a nice person because I usually attract people who who are so mean, who just, I don't know, just don't mean me any good. And I just felt like, okay, well, I need to figure out whether this is just like the adversary trying to play a trick on me. And because he's trying to say, oh, look, this is this nice person. And he really did play on my insecurities in that time. Like, he really did use mental warfare and spiritual warfare that I had to go through like I've never been through in my entire life. And I don't know, it wasn't anything to do with the person at all. It was just like the devil knew where my weakness was and was just like, this is where you're going to fail. This is what you're going to do wrong. This is all of the things that you're going to do that are going to make that. This is why I put my hair in a ponytail. Now it looks weird. You can't even. There we go. It is what it is. But the devil was just playing on. Now it just looks weird. I guess I gotta do that. Okay. Now it looks like I don't. Whenever I put my hair back, it always looks like I like have like a shortcut or something, and I'm like, okay. Not that it matters whether it's short or long, like I always say, but it just it looked weird when I did that. So I'm gonna switch it back, and hopefully I don't start sweating because I'm gonna have to move it and put it in a ponytail like I did in that one video. but but it was crazy because I really felt like it's unfair that I get to meet this amazing man who, and I know you're probably thinking that sounds ridiculous, but I don't think in my entire life I've ever met anybody quite like that person. And no, I don't know this person, and no, it might not have worked out, and whatever else, and God could have something else for me, and this could just be God showing me that there actually are good people out there, or whatever else. Okay, we get that. But I'm just saying that I really felt like, and I feel like a lot of women and men that are out there really need to treat every date as if it's someone who's actually going to be a person, like a real person who is actually interested in you, who is a decent human being and not just like this person's not going to take me seriously anyway, so it doesn't matter. Like, I, it's so crazy that I thought like that. I'm just like looking back now, like, this is exactly why. And this is how people probably stay single because they do crazy ish like this. They really just ruin it for themselves. And I can totally see how that happens because the devil was really playing on my insecurities so bad. Like, see, this is this is going to be all your fault. You're going to fail. You're going to be the person who ruins this. You have to be this way. And then I felt like I have to be perfect because in order for me to like actually be good enough, I'm going to have to be this perfect human being and no one is perfect. And so like I started putting like all of this pressure on myself, unnecessary pressure. It wasn't even that I needed to have. It was so crazy. And then like mm-mm-mm. It was a hot mess. I was a hot mess. I really was disappointed in myself in that moment. And it was even worse because I started feeling disappointed in myself because I felt like all of this pressure, because I put pressure on myself, because, and, and the sad thing is, God had told me from the beginning to just wait 3 or 4 months, even though I felt healed and before. And He's like, in 3 or 4 months, you will be finished with your purpose, or you will be doing this with your purpose, and you will be, living in your destiny, and this person will be at this place. And I was thinking that person probably won't be around that long because they're probably not going to be willing to wait for me. And they probably would have, which is the sad part. But because I was in such a rush and I just felt like, oh, I just needed to have this right now. Mm-mm-mm. Listen to God. It's the moral of the story. Listen to God, know that you're good enough, and don't feel like you have to be anything that you're not. And every person that you meet, take seriously. Like, until they prove otherwise. Because people will show you their true colors real quick, especially when you're willing to listen. And so, don't ever feel like you need to be like every other woman or every other man. And I don't mean like I had to change my personality. I meant like I didn't want to be like I didn't want to cause a lot of conflict. I didn't want to say what I actually wanted because I felt like I had no right to. I didn't want to. It was just crazy. I just really acted a hot mess in that whole situation. And I mean, like if I had to put a list of things of what I would want in a person, that would be the person. And it's so crazy. Like most people don't go on the first date with someone that they would actually consider to be like someone that they would actually consider. And so for me, it was just, I felt unworthy. Like, I felt like if it was a blessing from God, it just felt like there's no way that I could, the very first person that I meet could be someone. Like, that, that's crazy. That's ridiculous. I mean, it's not ridiculous, but I mean, you just never know what God's going to present in your life. And you really have to look at everything as a blessing until you are proven otherwise. Like, seriously. Don't ever feel like you're not worth the blessing that God gives you because if God is giving it to you, He's telling you that you deserve it. And don't, I really was expecting like Satan to come in and just be like, oh, you thought this was going to be somebody who was actually going to be a good person. You wait until you see who they truly are. And this person's just not going to be a nice person. This person is just going to use you. And I I really felt that in my soul. Like I just have to be perfect. This person's going to use me. This person, like, why? Like, yes, I'm a decent human being. I'm a kind person. I'm patient and understanding, and I'm constantly working on myself. And, I dress decent and stuff like that. And I'm a good conversationalist, even though I'm working on communication skills because I know that sometimes I don't communicate the best. So, like things like that. But even with all of those attributes, I still felt like not worthy of meeting someone who would be a reflection of me. And because I felt that way, every person that I've met has been exactly what I would have expected. And I don't want any of those people. I don't want any of those people at all. I really want someone like the first person. Like, but you only get one shot and one opportunity. Everything you ever wanted, you either capture it. I don't know why I just did that, or just let it slip. Yes, but I mean, when God gives you an opportunity, you really do need to seize every opportunity that He gives you in your life. And don't just feel like you are unworthy of something. And if it is Satan, you'll learn that it's Satan. When you ask for discernment and God shows you whether it's Him or whether it's Satan, you will learn really fast whether it's Him or Satan. So you have to trust yourself. You can't just allow your insecurity or the person that you used to be to make you feel like you don't deserve what God is giving you. And it could be anything. It could be a position at work. It could be a new friendship. It could be a potential partner. And you really have to, if you don't feel healed, you need to wait. Don't just rush because your family and friends tell you that you'll just never know when you're ready and you just need to hurry up and just get back out there or whatever else. Like, you need to do things on your own time and just be patient and know that when it's God's time, it'll be the perfect time. Because had I I know I will say this a lot, but had I waited until September and the person came then, I would have felt all those emotions. I would have healed from it. I would have learned from it and understood the reason why God said to wait. I would have had a moment where I could actually breathe because I was so in my purpose that I really didn't have a lot of attention or energy to give to anything else. And even though like I was interested, I could give like some attention, but I couldn't do a lot of the things that I wanted to do. And even before, like at the beginning, I kind of let some things slide that I'm not proud of because I felt like it was too late. Like I already started off wrong and I already did all the wrong things. We didn't even like talk that long before we went on a date. And I really wish we would have got to know each other more. So I would have felt more comfortable sticking to my standards, if that makes any sense. So the time that you need to wait before you go on a date, I think is so important. Like, I don't want to say that it should be a specific number or something like that, but enough for you to feel like you know enough about this person to where if you go to dinner, you're not worried about them doing something crazy. Or enough to where, like, if you're walking with them, you don't have to worry about them like Charlie Browning you or something. Like, I don't know, but I don't know where that even came from. But you should feel comfortable enough to where you feel like if you have to ask for something that's legitimate, that you will be comfortable enough in your own skin to be able to ask for it. Don't just go just because of other people and don't just take it as just a date because you don't give just a date to everybody. You give just a date. You give a date to people who actually deserve it that you want to collect data from so that you can see if this is the person who will fit into your life as well. And so I think for a lot of people that I am friends with or whatever else, when I hear them talk about going on dates, they want like certain things, but I don't, and they're willing to just settle just because they get to go out to eat or somewhere else. But I don't want that to be what I have in my life. Like, I know that's not like the norm or whatever else. And people are probably going to be like, oh, why did she say this? But I really feel like when I'm on a date or I'm getting to know someone and I have like a face to face with them, we meet up or whatever else, that I really want to learn more information about them. I really want to get to know more about them. I don't just want it to be about dinner or something like that. Like dinner is nice and I'm not complaining about dinner or anything like that. I just my intention when I go on a date, when I give someone an opportunity to go to take me on a date is, and I say it like that because I feel like so many people feel like when you go on a date with them that you owe them something or that you are on this date and so it's because they um I don't want to say it the wrong way, but I just it's so hard to say what you mean because you don't want to offend anyone or make it seem as if it's not something that's good or when you're trying to like when you're really trying to hit your point home and people are kind of like I just don't want to be offensive. So I'm not going to say anything else on that subject. But I really when I think about and I say given the opportunity because I feel like not everybody deserves to go on a date with you. I know some women will say, well, taking me out to eat, yay, it's like a cool thing. And going on a date is cool. But I'm on the date because I feel like the person deserves an opportunity to go on a date with me. And not like I'm like all, uppity or I'm just like higher or what is the word that they say? It's not that I feel like I'm better than someone else and they just need to be like all about me or something like that. But if I'm giving my time, which I know a lot of guys feel like their time is precious, but I feel like my time is precious as well. And the time that I can be spending serving in my purpose, like helping God with some not helping God, but being a vessel for God to use or spending time with my daughter. Not that I would do it in a time where I would be spending time with my daughter, like she would either be gone or something else would be the day that I would do it anyways. But I mean, I could be improving reading books. Not that, and I know you're probably saying, well, a date is more exciting than reading a book, but I love reading. So for me, reading is exciting. So, or I could be doing some self care stuff at home or going on a me date, and just doing all the stuff that I love doing. I'm taking that time away from myself that I could be growing and learning and expanding and becoming a better person to give you that time. So if I'm giving you that time, I want the person to know that it's not just like I'm the girl who just wants someone to pay for my food and go out to eat and, because I just need a meal. Like, no, I'm going because I really want to get to know you and because I want to learn more about you. And yes, if you pay for the meal, that's great. I think that shows I don't want to say strength because I don't want to say strength. I just want to say I think that is a really gentlemanlike thing to do. And I have no problem paying either. Not for that person's meal. But and I only say it like that because sometimes when people hear it, they'll say, "Oh, she doesn't mind paying. She can pay for my food." I'm not about to do that. I'm not. I'm sorry. I know there's other people that will do it. I don't agree with that on my end. I I know that I have to be willing to take care of myself, and so that's why I'm okay with that. And I do take care of myself. So I'm okay with that because I've been independent my whole life and I don't mind becoming interdependent. So when someone does things like that, it's like it's a really polite gesture. And I think that just shows what type of person that person is. And not saying that, I mean, I know that there's like a lot of women who are talking about they could do it on their own and all this and that, and that's nice. And I think it's great that we can do it on our own, but I also need a person as well. And so I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm so independent that I don't ever need another person because I do. And so I just feel like I have to reiterate that because and and drive my point home because there's so many different scenarios, so many different examples of what other women want. And I just honestly, I don't want to ever have to lower my standards for any of the people that I meet or I'm in a dating stage with, or I get in a relationship with, or whatever else. I want have a friendship, go dating, whatever else. I want to make sure that I take the time to build a friendship before I go on the date. And the friendship is we know what direction we're heading. We're not just buddies, just messing around, wasting our time. Like we got all the time in the world. Like, yes, I'm a patient person, but no, I don't believe in wasting my time. And I don't know if that makes sense, but I don't mind like being patient or patiently waiting for things that God has for my life or having patience when it comes to, other things. But when it comes to intentions, I need to know what someone's intentions are right off the bat. I don't need to find out 3, 6 months later and waste my time. I might have patience, but I don't have time to waste. I don't. And whether, God presents someone in 5 years or tomorrow, I need to make sure that I am. I'm sorry, I had an update from I had an update on something from one of the business things that I work on, and it wasn't a bad thing. It's it's not good nor bad. It's just like a thing that just says something about waiting. And I was just talking about patience. So stuff like that, I don't mind waiting on. See? I just proved a point and I answered an email. And so, yeah, I feel like when you say you have patience to some people, they feel like you have time to waste. And I'm not saying that at all. I don't want to waste my time on someone who's not interested in me. If they're not interested, just move on with your life. There will be someone else who God presents who is supposed to be a part of my life, who is supposed to be with me, who really feels like they will pursue me and put forth an effort. I don't want any person to feel like they have to be with me or like they are forced to be with me. I want whoever's in my life to be there because they want to be there. And so when I meet certain people, because I have standards, they feel like that's difficult because I'm not willing to just compromise and just settle for anything and it's kind of heartbreaking a little. I don't want to pretend like, and I'm not crying over guys. Please get that. Understand that. And plus, it's around that time, so I get really emotional. This is just normal for me, so hopefully you'll learn that. And so I just, you know how it is with the hormones, and it's just like, ah, I just, it's crazy. I don't want to be like all extra hormonal or anything, but that's what it is. So yeah, you'll see me like I'll see something and it'll be so sweet and it'll be like in a movie. I know I usually don't seem like the super girly girl that's overly emotional or anything, but around this time, I do get in my feelings a little bit. Like, not that I like turn into like this monster or anything like that, but like, so I was talking to my grandma on the phone earlier, like one of my family members. I don't know if I should say grandma, but there's like I have like 3 or 4, so no one will know which one it is. So, so I'm talking to my grandma earlier, and she says, "I really love you, sweetheart." And I felt like a little like cloud of tear start to come in, and I was just like, every single time it's around this time, like that. Or maybe it's just because I'm getting older and I understand how precious life really is. So when I hear family members or friends that truly love me say things like that, it's just like, oh my gosh, that's so sweet. And so, yes, it's a little disheartening. And I hate to say it like that because my value doesn't hang on the balance of what someone else thinks, but I can't pretend like it doesn't affect me when people don't react the way that I expect them to, and that's another thing. You can't just expect people to be something they're not. Either they are or they aren't. Either they're about that life or they're not about that life. And so don't ever feel like it's your fault because someone's not being what you want them to be. You're the person who's setting unrealistic expectations on someone else's character that you don't even understand or someone else who you don't even know. And so you really have to think about who you are and just worry about what it is that you can control. You can't make someone be the right person. You can't make someone be something that they're not. You can't make someone appreciate you or value you or your time. You can only just do what's best for you. And so for me, what I've been learning in this past 3 to 4 months is that I really have to just stick to my standards regardless of what how the other person feels, and either they fit into my life or they don't. And like no matter how much you like them, you have to let them go. And it's unfortunate because they seem like real decent people who would be amazing, but they may be good people, but maybe amazing, but not amazing for you, or the right person, but not the right person for you. I don't know how you word that, but you get what I'm saying. And so you just really have to look at everything as it is and not as you would expect or want it to be. And so, like, even at the beginning, when I just expected the person to not be a nice person, like, people could be nice people. Don't just, like, prejudge someone and make them something that they're not. Like, really get to know the person and take the time to actually have a real conversation. Enough time that you feel comfortable enough sticking to your standards. Because if you are brand new and you really haven't taken the time to communicate with this person, when it comes time for you to express or communicate how you truly feel, it's going to be really difficult because you're going to feel like you don't want to hurt this person, or you don't want to make this person feel awkward, or you are not in a position to ask for things, and it's because you didn't give yourself enough time to build that kind of, I want to say security, but I don't want to use that word. Confidence. You won't even be able to build the type of confidence that you will need to stick to your standards. And so you really have to figure out what it is that makes you feel the most comfortable. And so when you get to that point where you feel like, oh, we've been talking for however long it is, it could be 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it could be a month, who knows? But whatever you're comfortable with. And you get to that point where you feel like, okay, we've communicated so much. I have enough confidence to where if I'm not okay with something, I can say I'm not okay with this. And whether they take it good, bad, or indifferent, I know that this is how I truly feel. And this is not just a I like orange, not red kind of thing. This is a I need consistency kind of thing. And if you don't have it, you don't have it. Or I need someone who's actually pursuing me. And because you went on a date so quickly, they don't feel like they need to put in any effort to pursue you because you just rushed into everything. Or whatever it is. I'm just throwing out a few examples. But really take the time to think about what it is that you truly want, and don't just put the list somewhere and not look at it, and then randomly someone asks you on a date after you talked a few times, and all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna totally go on this date. I haven't looked at my list. I don't feel like I feel confident. I usually feel confident. Every once in a while I get in my moods where it just feels like but I only feel like that when I learned something new that I wasn't expecting and it didn't go my way. And I know that sounds like a spoiled brat kind of thing, but that's really truly how I felt in those moments. And so when it doesn't go my way, then I kind of get a little like, it's not going my way. Like, this is so horrible, but really it's a blessing in disguise. And after like a few minutes, I get over it. Or if my feelings get hurt, then I might be in my feelings. But other than that, I'm good. And I like to pretend like I don't have feelings and nothing affects me, but I do have real feelings, like a real human being and not a robot. And so when things happen like that, or someone really does hurt my feelings, it really does hurt my feelings. It's not just like oh well, to the next person. It's like that sucks. Like it really sucks. And then 5 minutes later, I'm like, Jesus. I just have to play hold on or something. And then all of a sudden I start smiling and everything feels better. Or if I'm going through a test, because, like either Satan used it or God's using it to strengthen me, then I'll be in that feeling. But majority of the time, usually I'm in a good mood. Usually I'm happy. And I'm not in a bad mood when I'm feeling like down or whatever, it's usually just like uh it's like a petri dish of emotions. Like there's so many different emotions that I feel. Maybe let's not use that word. Maybe let's just say it was a plethora of different emotions, or it was a combination of different emotions. Let's just say that, okay? Let me not talk about different organisms or anything like that. But okay, you got your laugh in for the day. Anyways, but yes, it's just I went through a lot of things I really didn't expect, and most I don't want to say most because there's only been like two maybe guys that are like this, but now I see how people end up single for a long time because you ruin you ruin the not ruin because you know if someone really is interested in you they're going to pursue you, and so I don't feel like that's like a whatever, but you get so in your head that you mess up a good person, like a relationship with a good person. You don't stick to standards, so you even turn the good person into a bad person who is literally just doing the bare minimum to be in your life because they feel like you don't deserve anything better and they don't see your value because you haven't presented yourself as valuable. So that's the one person you got rid of. And then you got two other people who just feel like your standards are ridiculous. It's so ridiculous that you would want someone who could communicate with you, who would actually be consistent. That's crazy talk. All of the other women just accept me giving them the bare minimum. And I'm like, I'm not the other women. Like, I don't understand why this is a normal thing. But, and I'm trying to not become that person who's single who ends up being like, all men are. I'm not going to do that because there are a bunch of different types of people and there are a lot of good men in the world. It's not that the any of those men are bad men. They just are used to getting their way and I'm not the person. And so and that's fine because the person who is for me will understand that I have standards and they're there for a reason. It's not because I want to be like this person who just spews out demands or anything like that. It's because I really do respect myself and the person who I give a chance to, or if I have a conversation with someone or whatever else, I'm giving you an opportunity because I feel like I don't know why I'm saying it like that. It has to be the hormones or something. But but I just the person who God sends in my life is going to value me. They're going to appreciate me and they're going to know that my standards are there to protect me. They're not there because I want to make people feel a certain way or I want to be holier than thou or I want to be above someone else. It's because I really respect myself and I want the people who come into my life to respect me. I want them to honestly pursue me and to see my value. And in order for them to do that, I'm going to have to stick to my standards and I'm going to have to value myself. I can't allow how someone else feels about something to make me feel like my standards are ridiculous because they're there to protect me. They're not there to make someone else feel comfortable. They're there so that I don't have to be in a situation where I'm getting used and abused and stuck in a toxic relationship because I decided to settle for less than what God intended for me to have in my life. And and I hope that all the women and men out there really do stick to their standards. If you want a woman that's like blah, 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 and it's a real standard, then you need to stick to it. Don't just switch it because this woman looks bad, like, or has the best body that you've ever seen, or whatever else. Like, really, and standards are there for a reason. They're really there to protect you so that the moment you lower your standards, I promise you will feel insecure and jealous or any negative emotion that you had already gotten rid of. It'll make you feel less than. It'll really beat up your self esteem. It'll really make you feel like nothing. And so every time you lower your standards, you will be lowering yourself. You will be lowering your self esteem. You will be lowering who God intended you to be. And none of us know more than God. So Every time you think about lowering your standards, think about lowering yourself below what God intended, the level God intended you to be at. The things that He had for you, the things that He wanted for you, you're saying that you can't have it. Like, you know better for your life than Him. He's saying He wants you to be with someone who will actually appreciate you, who will actually treat you the way that God intended you to be treated. And you're saying, oh no, let me go ahead and just settle for someone who's inconsistent so that I can never rely on them or trust them at all. Like, do you see how that makes no sense? Let me be with someone who's not a good communicator, who just never wants to call or text or anything. Someone who just feels like communication isn't important. Like, you can build a relationship on air. Like, no, that's not good enough. That's not acceptable. That's not something that I would want for my life. And I try to being around other people makes you kind of feel like everyone else is settling. I'm the only person. I feel like an alien or something. Like, I literally feel like I'm the only person who's willing to have a standard and stick to it. Like, every time I meet someone, they're talking about all the standards that they're lowering, all the things that they're willing to do in a relationship, or all the things that they're willing to settle for when they're dating somebody. And I don't understand why. I don't get it. What is this about? If someone knows what this is about, like, leave a comment, or message me, go on to my firstloveyourself.care and send me a message and explain to me, why is it like this? Seriously. No, and I'm not saying it because I'm trying to take a dig at people, or I'm trying to make people feel inadequate or less than or anything like that. I really want to learn. I really want to understand why. And I just don't get it. Like, how can you build any foundation on someone who's inconsistent and not a good communicator? For me, I couldn't do that in my life. I need someone willing to communicate so that if I'm going through something, I can verbalize how I feel. If I feel a certain way, I can feel comfortable enough to say why I feel that way. If, like, I don't know if I should share this, but I reached out to this one person who reached out to me before. And I was saying, I was calling because I was going to talk about how I went to this place and had like the worst experience ever. But it ended up being funny because it wasn't what I expected. I didn't expect anything, but it was hilarious. It ended up being so funny. And all of the young people now just text. Like, people my age text each other because they feel like that's communication, and that's not. Like, I understand not everybody's comfortable with a phone call or face to face or whatever else, and I get it. So that's understandable. But for me, I'm old school. I like the whole talking over the phone kind of thing and texting every once in a while because, you don't have to put everything in a verbal phone conversation. And some things, like, I don't know, just like a hey, how you doing? Just because you're busy and you don't have enough time to, like, just be on a phone call because you got to rush to do something or you're in the middle of something. Like, it's like okay, that person's actually thinking about me right now. They're sending a text message. Okay, that's cool. The person, like, when you're having a conversation with someone, I am so I'm like a hidden gem right now. I really am. I'm like, I want to say this without sounding pathetic, but I would sound so pathetic if I say it. So I probably won't say it, but I don't want to have to settle to be with someone. And it's funny because I heard this sermon, and oh my gosh, it's been a long time that I've been talking. And hopefully, there's something productive in there that will help someone. But I was listening to the sermon, and this pastor said something. I don't have my notes in here. Usually I bring in my, like, little schedule thing that has all of my things that I plan throughout the day and stuff like that. But I I was listening to the sermon, and the pastor said something like, yeah, people keep saying, yeah, I'm single and this and that. But he said, no, instead of saying you're single, say that you refuse to settle for anything. You refuse to settle for parasites. It was parasites, people who people who drain my energy or something like that. And people who meet parasites, people who make you emotionally imbalanced and something else. I can't remember what it was, but I was like, that is so true because I truly feel like because I'm unwilling, like I could meet someone tomorrow and just be with them if I really wanted to be with someone. If I really felt like so desperate that I just needed to be with someone, I could be with someone. It's not that I can't meet or be with someone. It's just that I don't want to lower my standards to be with someone. I don't. And it's so frustrating because it's like, really? Not one of these people see my value? And I'm not saying it in a conceited way, but like I'm doing all of this work and being the best version of myself, and I'm trying to be a better person, and I'm kind and considerate, and I'm loving, and I care about every person that I come in contact with. So when I meet people who are all about themselves, which all humans are a little selfish, so please don't take that the wrong way. But when when I meet people and they just feel like their time is more valuable than your time, or they they feel like you just need to be okay with them saying, "Oh, you're just buddies," or like, no, I'm not looking for a buddy. I'm looking to date intentionally, and I might not be ready to marry someone tomorrow or within the next 6 months or a year or whatever else, but I mean, however long until I feel comfortable in a position where I would actually be interested in something like that with the person that I would be in a relationship with. Because I'm not just gonna be friends with somebody and then marry them the next day or something like that. Like, it's just so, I don't know. And I'm not saying I don't have issues. I am not a perfect human. I make a bunch of mistakes all the time. I try to do everything with the best intentions. I try to like come from a loving and kind place, things like that. And I do get scared sometimes. And sometimes I have moments where I just feel like, I don't know, like I'm always trying to improve and be a better person, but I know I'm not perfect. I know I make a bunch of mistakes. I know I do a lot of things wrong, but but it's like people will really try to make you lower your standards for them and make you be something that you're not. And they feel like that's okay. And it's not okay at all. It's really not. I didn't put in all this work to be somebody's only friend. I'm not looking for that. There's a bunch of other women or men that are looking for things like that, and that's not what I want in my life. I don't want a friendship where we are just buddies and I can be. I don't want to say the rest of that because it's gonna probably give away who the person is. But but I'm not looking to be only someone's friend. Like, of course, I will meet people, and it might be like a business deal or something like that. We might be cool because we work well in business environments or something like that. That's totally different. Or I have a person who is, I don't know, just a decent human being who I don't like that, but they just are cool. Like we're cool, but it's nothing like that. And maybe I know this person from somewhere else or something. I don't know, but it's not like that. And so, and it's no kind of conversation like that. It's no kind of being alone. It's nothing like that at all. And so, and I don't mean it like that, like I'm trying to downplay the person, but it's just like certain situations like that, that makes sense. But when it comes to, and I'm not saying people should do this, I really feel like men and women really can't be friends unless they're in a friendship leading to a relationship. For real. That's how I really truly feel. I've always felt that way even before I heard other people say it. And people would look at me like, that's crazy. You don't think that your boyfriend or girlfriend should have friends of the opposite, whatever? And I mean, if I'm nobody to you, you could do whatever you want to do. Like, who am I in your life to tell you that? Nobody. but but if I'm like really with somebody, I'm not gonna feel comfortable in a situation like that. I just wouldn't. And it has nothing to do with insecurity. It's just that I have never had one friend who is a guy that didn't like me or want something from me at all. Not once. I can't think of one. I haven't had, and I mean, with girls, it's a little different. Women, it's a little different because when we have friends that we consider, or when we're friends with guys, most of the time when we say they're a friend and we really don't think of them like that at all. We really don't think of them like that at all. It's not just like oh, they're kind of attractive. I just am not interested in them. Like if they're kind of attractive or they're attractive and they they are your friend and you really are that close to them, then you probably like your friend. But but I haven't been in a situation like that. And I don't, if I'm not going to have friends that are guys, then I don't feel like the person that I'm with in a serious relationship or eventually engaged to or married or whatever else should have that either because it's really easy to cross the bounds when you have someone that is of the opposite sex and you're attracted to the opposite sex. And the person, even if the person isn't that attractive, still, it doesn't matter. Just having that emotional support, that person that you talk to, that you divulge all of your hopes and dreams to, the person that you are in an intimate setting with and close quarters with, someone that you feel like you can talk to when you can't talk to the person that you're with, like, and then your mind is the biggest sexual organ on your body, so you are mind, whating the mess out of that person, and so you're probably not thinking about it like that and just like, oh, we're just friends, cool, whatever. And then, just, you're in the right atmosphere and so you're going through a real horrible situation. And that friend, the lines could be blurred real fast. And I say that for myself too. I don't want to ever put myself in a situation like that where I'm cool with someone and then we're hanging out, we're in an intimate setting or something like that. And then something like that goes down. Like, I want to make sure that I protect myself because you're human. I mean, everybody's human. Everybody has like desires. Everybody has flesh. Everybody has all of those things. And I don't feel like that's like I know there's going to be a bunch of guys that are going to probably be like, this is exactly why I don't talk to her. And that's fine. That just means that you weren't the person. And so it's just, it's just one of those things. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to say, no, I have had this friend forever and blah, or whatever. But they might, your friend for the women might not be willing to be with you in a relationship, but they might be willing to be with you in other ways. So be careful what you say because you are sharing all this information. You're giving them everything they need to get to you in your most vulnerable, weakest states. So they know exactly what they would need to do to take advantage of you. And I feel like that's not a good position to have yourself in. It's not a safe position to have yourself in. And that's the way that I'm looking at it. I'm not just looking at it just as this like person who just wants to be controlling and just feels super insecure or anything like that. It really is like logically in my mind. That's the way that I think about it. I think about it in a safety perspective. I think about it in vulnerability. I think about it in a relationship where you are already divulging other information to someone else. So it kind of boxes you off from the relationship. It doesn't allow you to be as open as you could be with the person that you're with because you've already communicated and worked out all of your emotional issues with someone else. And so instead of allowing that to give you an opportunity to become closer with the person that you're with, you never get that comfortable communicating with the person that you're with. And so it just makes it more, it it adds like a barrier in that one area of your life, of your relationship. And so for me, that's why it just doesn't make sense for me. Now, somebody that I barely know, I'm just cool with, that has other friends that are girls or whatever, okay, who cares? Somebody that I might have just started dating, who cares? Like, you do your own thing. Like, I mean, not do your own thing like I'm trying to say I'm cool with just being whatever. I'm just saying in general, that's none of my business. And so it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't. And so, I mean, until it affects my life, I don't really care. I mean, I care about everyone's well being. I'm just saying, in general, I don't, it has nothing to do with me. It's none of my business. That's what I mean by that. And so, before this video gets too long and I just divulge too much information and I really make it into something that it isn't, I just wanted to say in conclusion, it just feels like a lot of people expect things in life to be easy, whether it's, getting a new position, becoming like a famous person, or, getting that relationship that you wanted, or like, and just having someone just be at your beck and call and just sit down and shut up and not have an opinion. And you just want them to be like an easy person that just does everything that you want whenever you want it, and to just be grateful of whatever little time that you give that person. Like, things like that is what I mean by how I think that a lot of people feel like things should just be easy for them. And a lot of the people that I meet want it to be easy. They don't want a woman with standards. They don't want they don't want someone who knows what they want or is like living in their purpose. They want someone who needs someone else to direct them to where they should go. And I would like someone to lead me as well, but I also know what my purpose is. And just because I know my purpose doesn't mean that I can't be lead. Just because I'm independent doesn't mean that I can't be interdependent. And just because I have standards doesn't mean that and that I'm not easy. I mean, maybe it means that I'm not easy. I'm not easy. But it right now in this stage of my life, I feel content with the way that things are because I'm living my destiny and because I have God in my life and because I know what love really is. And I know the type of things that I would want from someone. And it's not that they have to be like this long line of checklist things that I just expect this person to be like. I don't know what their personality is going to be like, but I know what I want their core values to be. I know that I want them to be consistent and to pursue me and to have good communication. And I'm not saying that the very first conversation, all of a sudden, we're going to be the best communicators and we're going to know exactly, all of our love languages and all of this crazy stuff. I mean, that's not crazy. That's something over time. But it's just, I do expect the person who wants an opportunity with me, who feels like, you know, they want to get to know me. I should have said that instead of opportunity. But the person who says that they want to get to know me really should be consistent. Like, because consistency proves that you're a man of your word to me. And that means everything. That means that when something goes down, I can count on you. I'm not going to feel like I'm in this by myself. I'm not going to feel alone and insecure about the relationship because I'm going to know that when you say you're going to do something, you mean it because you're a man of your word, which in turn will make me eventually trust you because I will feel like when something when something happens, you'll be the person that I could, do I want to say lean on? I don't want to say lean on. You would just be a good person that would be a man of your word. And all you have is your word sometimes. And if you don't have your word, you have nothing. And when it comes to communication, if I don't feel comfortable communicating with you, if we haven't built a rapport, if we don't have like a level where I feel comfortable enough communicating how when I feel uncomfortable, when something's going on or I'm just having a normal conversation. It doesn't even have to be something deep. It could just be a normal conversation and building that emotional connection. Just like, really penetrating my mind. Like, that's what I would want. That's what I would need. I can't just I can't just feel uncomfortable expressing how I feel forever. I can't just feel like I can never talk about any of the things that are going on in my life. Like I just have to be a mute. I can't just feel like whatever I'm dealing with is unimportant. And the only thing that matters is your time and what it is that you have going on. Like of course, every person deserves to be heard, and most of the time when I'm talking to people, I allow them to speak before I allow myself to speak, because I feel like a lot of the times men don't really have the opportunity to express themselves. And so when they do get to talk, it's really cool to see like how much they really want to communicate for the most part. But having like open communication is like, or good communication, I should say, starting off is something that would make me feel comfortable expressing how I feel. And when it comes to things I'm uncomfortable with or things that I don't want, then I will feel like I have a voice to be able to speak up for myself. And then someone who pursues me. You can't just be half in, half out, just doing a little bit, inconsistent. Like, you know how it is. If men want something, they go for it. They don't just pretend like, oh, it's too hard. It's not, it's too hard. It's got to be easy. Like, or for women too, not pursuing, but, thinking that life is easy. Everything that you're doing in your life when it comes to healing or growing or whatever else is going to take work. It's not just someone hands you everything that you need. You really do have to put in that work to get those things. And I think it's important for us to remember that we can't just sit back and expect things to just be given to us and to be easy. I already said in conclusion a long time ago, and I just continue to ramble on. I'm so sorry that this video was so long. I hope that it helped other people see, like people that are thinking about dating, see that they have to be open to the possibility that this could be the person that you're looking for. Be open to the possibility that this could actually be a nice person. Be open to the possibility that you could really meet someone who is everything on your list, but just because they seem like they're everything on your list doesn't mean they're going to be willing to put in time or effort or be consistent or be a good communicator or pursue you. So don't just have unrealistic expectations for someone else. Be there in the moment, be kind, be considerate, do all the normal things that you need to do, and everything that you need to learn about that person will come to light eventually. Just be patient and don't feel like you have to rush. Don't feel like you have to put so much pressure on yourself, because you are good enough exactly the way that you are, exactly the way that God created you. You don't have to be this guy with a bunch of swag who's doing all the most. Like, just be considerate, be patient, be kind, be the person who God created you to be, and that will be good enough for the person who is for you. You trying to be flashy and doing the most for these women that want you for your money is going to give you that type of woman. And if you don't want that type of woman, if you want someone with real substance, you're going to have to know that you're good enough. You don't have to use your body. You don't have to use any of that stuff to attract the type of woman who actually wants you for you. And for women, the same thing. You don't have to use anything but your intellect and just to be kind, a kind person who's leading in love, who really just is treating this person, this other human being, with decency and respect. You don't know this person. So don't be rude, don't be nasty, don't be doing the most, don't be ordering the most expensive thing on the meal like you lost your mind. Like, get it together. Treat this person like a human being and respect them. Don't just act like they better be lucky they got my presents. Like, no, they're human, you're human, you're both equal. They might not deserve to be with you, but they definitely deserve for you to be a nice human being to them. And even if they're being nasty, don't just be nasty along with them. Be the lady, the mature adult that you are, and just leave in the most kind, respectful way that you can at the end of the meal. That's what you need to do. Don't don't be hard on yourself. Understand that you're everything God created you to be, and anything that's worth it is not going to be easy.